Hey, you guys, this is Sebastian.
This is Gabe.
Oscar. I'm Julian.
And this is our very first podcast, and we're super excited for you guys to watch it, and hope you guys enjoy.
I was like,
Okay. Well, I guess we're just gonna start this thing. I've never done a podcast in my life.
Yeah, you have. You did one.
I did the other podcast, but I've
podcast,
never. We have never done a podcast
Together.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a test trial. I don't know what this is gonna look like. I don't know if we're gonna use this, but we're here. I don't even know what this is gonna be called. So welcome to I don't know what this is gonna be called podcast. I'm your host. I'm just kidding. No, I think more than anything.
I do want to say, I think Nate gave us a prophetic word about that we were building this house, this beautiful house, and it took so many years to build. And at first we had little baby toy hammers and and it slowly started developing a skill where we had real hammers and real saws and everything. So we just built this house on this foundation, and he's like, man, I feel like this year you're gonna open the door for people to walk into the house and explain to them what we did and how we did stuff and why is this piece of art beautiful. So I really feel like this is just part of that. We're letting people in our lives, personal, spiritually, and music, creatively, and everything. So I really feel like this is just an added thing. We're just gonna roll on content. So that's just my thought on this.
I really like the way you said that. It's more than anything, this is just a way for people to look into our lives. And I honestly forgot about that word that Nate gave us. So it's kind of crazy.
and I think too, it's so 2008 was when I started playing music. I think we all, except for you.
No, not me.
No, Sebastian has been playing music
okay,
before us.
wait, pause.
Yeah.
Sebastian
That's a good place to start.
Yeah.
A story.
Obviously, if you guys don't know, I'm Sebastian.
Gabe.
Oscar. I'm Julian.
We are all related. This is I'm their cousin. I'm their cousin, and they are all three brothers.
We're all brothers. And for clarity's sake, you're not Gamboa.
Yeah,
I'm not a
not a
Gamboa.
Gamboa.
My last name is Suarez.
Not a Gamboa for sure. He'll let you know immediately.
That has hindered my spiritual.
You've had inner healing.
I have had inner
for trauma.
I have seen a therapist.
I paid money.
I have paid money to get healing.
Maybe you should change your name.
Maybe maybe y'all should change your name.
That'd be so confusing. Just change your name, honestly.
Anyway, before we even get to the whole music aspect of what it is that you just said, obviously we do music. We've done worship for a very long time, but before we get there, I think it's important to share about where we're from.
Just who we are. No one knows who we are.
So I can share, but if you guys please
start.
stop me whenever. So we were all born in Bogota, Colombia.
Shout out to Bogota, Colombia.
Shout out to all my Colombians.
You know what district we're born in? Nah, bro.
Kennedy.
For sure the not expensive one. South.
We're from Kennedy.
Kennedy in Bogota,
Colombia. We moved to the United States.
99?
Y'all moved in 99.
99, you did 2000.
My mom and I, we moved in 2000.
Bro, can I just share a story real quick?
Please do. This is what this is about.
I remember Sebastian. He
I'm
showed
4.
up. He showed up and he said, hey, and this is in Spanish. He was like, bro, my mom told me as soon as I get off the plane, I could talk in English. And my boy was just gibberish. And I looked at everybody. I was like, dude.
I looked at my mom and I said, Mom, I can speak
And his
in
mom was
English.
like, hey, please pretend. And I was like, no, bro.
This is not.
Hey, but confidence. Hey, 10 out of 10 in confidence.
Or I was just speaking in tongues before all y'all.
Yeah, your prayer language.
I got my prayer language at the age of 4.
Bro, it's because I know you will deny certain things that did happen. That's not true, bro. Certain things that happened.
Well, let's
continue. Back to the story.
We
were born in Colombia, moved here. We were all here by the time in the 2000s. We all got here. Immigrant parents.
We all stayed in a 2-bedroom house.
Apartment.
Apartment. Yeah, 2-bedroom apartment.
Timberland.
7 people. And we had 1 car.
Well, shout out to Hispanic life. That's that's mad Hispanic.
Yeah.
I remember. We had one car. I remember this.
That's immigrant.
One car. We had a white Saturn. Remember the white Saturn?
White Saturn.
Then you back, and then
shout out to.
So Saturn. It was my mom,
on the passenger. My dad was driving. Your mom was on
In
the
the
side.
Back, your mom, and
No, Julian, me, Sebastian was on the floor. And Gabe was
on the other
floor.
side of the
Yeah, we somehow made it work.
bro.
We're alive though.
Bro, I remember.
Bro, you know you're Hispanic, bro. I know every Hispanic has had that once in your life. You've had that, like where you're just sitting in and like you're just crammed in the car.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
It's just
At
part of
one
the-
point we had your grandma in there too.
Yeah, I don't even know
Do you
how.
remember
Yeah.
Rosita? She was in there
Or do you
somehow.
remember the time we went to Hurricane Harbor and you're in the trunk?
Yeah, you were in the trunk for how long?
Guys, no, wait. I know we're skipping, and this is so funny, but I remember one year we had an uncle, and he.
We had an uncle. So he's
I
done.
mean, I guess he's still our uncle.
He's still
but-
alive.
He's still alive. But he said, guys, I'm gonna take you guys to Hurricane Harbor,
I remember that.
but he had the tiniest Honda.
It's a
Civic.
little
It was-
hatchback. A hatchback.
Yeah, it was
On
a
the Civic
tiny.
SI.
Yeah.
SI.
It's
yeah.
like the one
It's
that's only
tiny.
2 doors and a back seat, like
Yeah.
where there's no doors. for
And
the
this
back
is
seat.
summertime, so it's like my mom is like she cleaned houses, so it's I would get dropped off at their house, and if I go and they're not there, I'm just sitting there by myself, and I looked at them, they're like, wow, they're going to Hurricane Harbor, and I don't fit, and I looked at him, I said, dude, I'll go in the trunk, and he said, okay. I drove from Carrollton
hatchback
to
trunk.
Arlington.
Arlington.
45
That's like 45
minutes,
minutes, yeah.
sweating, pleading to God that they didn't crash me. And I'm like, dude, I know I'm not fit. I know I'm not the skinniest
No,
man.
no,
and
you
now
look good. You look good,
dude.
But back then I didn't. Back then,
Yeah, back then was
Oh,
hard.
yeah.
Jack in the Box was my best friend.
It was, huh?
Dude,
And I know that little trunk, it
Bro.
was packed in there.
Bro, it was packed.
it was
Barely
yeah.
fit.
I barely
Bro.
fit. Anyway, where was I? I don't
Just
even-
2-bedroom.
Oh yeah, two bedroom. We all lived together
Yep.
pretty much. When I got here, they got here a year before me. Me and my mom moved to the United States, and we literally all crammed into one little apartment.
Yep.
They had a master bedroom, and then we had their room, and that's where me and my mom would sleep
On the floor.
On the floor, we
With a
had
mattress.
my
It would
mom
pull
came,
out, I remember.
my mom came with nothing, literally.
Bunk beds.
They had bunk beds, and me and my mom would sleep on the floor. We would pull out. I remember
Little
it was under
mattress.
Oscar's bed.
Yeah.
We would pull it out. I would sometimes just roll over and wake up under Oscar's bed.
Dang.
And yeah, that's where we like. I mean, I feel like that's a big part of why we're so close, because
Yeah.
we genuinely live
100%.
together.
It did everything together.
Sometimes, like when you're broke, like we were,
Oh.
immigrants, like we were, we didn't feel like we belonged
Yeah.
because we didn't.
We didn't.
And it's like, so what happens is like the people close to us are us. So it's like we didn't really have friends.
No, we didn't.
I remember I established my first friend
Last
11th
year.
grade. No, 11th grade last year.
That's crazy.
Shout out to
Joey's
Nate Diaz.
projecting.
Just
He's
kidding.
like, guys, I think I have a friend now, and we're.
Dude, I know it's Michael. I remember. Yeah.
Michael Pelton. Yeah, he was my first like
Oh,
friend that I went
dang.
over to his house. He came over to
He
our
did,
house.
yeah.
And to this day, we're so close. You know, like we're close as, even though he lives in Washington, we're like, we saw him last week, and I was like, man, it just feels like home seeing him. So it's like outside of him, it's like it was just us four.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally grew up together.
Yeah, and I think that is very true. Like, we didn't have much. We literally had like
Yeah.
each other, and I mean each other and going outside. So it's
No,
like,
we
We
would.
did have a PlayStation at one point. Remember
We had
that?
to play. Yeah, but my dad was rolled. That was like, but I just remember just doing crazy stuff together, like just building tree houses and like
Yeah.
getting the cops called on us and just so much like.
Imagine thinking that everything's a urinal.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Okay, another story.
Wait, what?
Please don't let your kids pee in apartments outside. But I
That's
thought
so, bro. That is so.
that's ratchet. I know.
That's like you are foreign.
yeah. That was.
That's like.
I
That's
mean,
like,
I was 4, and I was like, dude. I'm sure.
Did you get in
You know
trouble?
what's so funny?
did you get in trouble?
Oh yes, your mom.
Wait,
your
was it
mom
the
let
cops?
me hear it. Yes.
Oh, the
I
cops,
remember.
Cops came to the house.
Oh
And
dang.
your mama said, I will never forgive you for this one. And I said, oh, shoot. But here's the thing. In my mind, as a kid, that walk looked so far. I drove by the other day. It was probably from here to like
should go
around
visit.
the
We should go visit those apartments.
It
They're
was
still
not
there.
that far, actually. But yeah, we would get the cops called on us. We would go outside and imagine what, it's so funny now that you bring it back to what Nate said. We would go outside and imagine like building a tree house. And like we literally like we would go to the dumpster and we would find things that were like, oh, we
It
can put
wasn't
this
a
in our
dumpster.
tree
I remember
house.
looking at dumpster.
Yeah, we would go find. I remember we found a couch.
Yep.
We found a boxes. We just made our own little living room and found out that was very illegal and we can't break the apartment's bushes.
Yeah, you can't.
Build. We had to put everything back. Well, the cops came. We had to put everything back.
We had to put everything back.
I remember.
Yeah.
But
that's crazy.
I think also like going back to that, like we made anything work. Like it was just
Very
like
true.
if we wanted a tree house, we just did it. We just made it work. We figured it out somehow. And I think like that even resembles to like what we're we could talk about it now. But I think going back to two bedroom apartment, we all grew up at a Bible church. What was it called?
Valley View Christian Church.
Valley View Christian Church.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And we spent. I remember.
But we were there for like 5 years, 6 years.
Longer than that, boy.
Way longer.
Longer, right?
10 years, bro.
There. Your dad was.
It was probably from like
leader.
it was probably from like 2002 to like 2008.
Yeah,
9.
but my dad got saved because of the Jesus movement. Some people from the States came to Colombia, and
They brought instruments.
They brought instruments, and that's how they got.
That's a crazy story.
Yeah.
I mean
jumping
around.
That's part of what we did.
Yeah,
but all I have to say
testimony,
is like we were at Valley View Church. His dad, I mean, he's always been a worship leader. He led worship back in Colombia. He always did music.
Yeah. And it was a very like spirit, like charismatic.
In Colombia, it was very spirit led, very charismatic, all, like miracle signs and wonders. He would tell us wild stories of people getting healed.
Yeah.
And just God showing up. And I mean, we show up, we're in Dallas. Now we're kids, and he is the worship director at this church called
the
Valley
Spanish
View.
side.
The Spanish side, Valley View Christian Church.
We would meet at the
gym.
gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would meet
Shout
at
out
the
to gym kid. You know, you knew you grew up in the school and like in church if you stayed in the gym for like 10 hours.
Yeah, I mean,
it was like
we were just there.
Yeah.
The vending machine.
But for me, I at that church, I remember that's when I was like, dude, the drummer is so cool. I think because I started playing drums way before.
I remember the drummer.
I knew you guys played music,
and you guys weren't even thinking of music.
No.
I've always had the thought of like drums are so cool. I would love to play drums. I always wanted to sit close to the drummer. And your dad was always so kind to me. And he would just, as a kid, he would take me on Saturdays to play at random little church. I was like, why are you even bringing me? And he would just sit me there. I remember playing at a church in the Colony with just these random worship leaders. And I was playing an electric drum set. Your dad would put me up there. And he just always had that. I feel like your dad saw something in all of us.
He's still like that to this day.
Yeah,
he's like that to this day.
I mean, you talk to him now, and he's just like he'll always remember the. Dang, that's so emotional. You'll always remember remember when we were learning how to do this and driving all the way to teach music lessons. And
Bro, we taught music lessons.
I know.
That's
so
crazy.
But I think a turning point in our lives was whenever so my dad's music director for the Spanish side, and which we love the Church of Christ. We like it, very beautiful. But there was just a moment where the Spirit of God moved in that place, and some lady fell out and started speaking in tongues. And people
not just some lady, an elder.
English
church who was a missionary that knew Spanish.
Yeah.
That's
was
right.
there, and during worship,
She fell out.
She fell out and started to speak in tongues, got her prayer language, and they called the 911.
Yeah, the ambulance
Okay.
came.
I was second row. I was like, oh.
Yeah, it shocked everything.
Hermana Maria.
I remember that. I remember that.
But what was crazy was my dad encountered God back how he did whenever he got saved in the Jesus movement, which is crazy. It's all tied together, and they ended up firing him and letting him go. And we had one Sunday off, and I remember being like, man, this is so nice having a Sunday off.
I was like, dude,
finally.
I
think we went to the beach, or we went to something.
No, we just stayed home.
Oh my
I think.
gosh, is that when y'all went to Wichita Falls?
I think that's when we went to Wichita Falls. I do
Really?
remember that.
Dang.
Oh my gosh.
But
that's
we
cool.
were
Y'all
off
left me behind.
one Sunday, and my dad became a pastor the next Sunday.
He did, huh?
So a pass. Okay, so your dad gets fired.
Yeah.
But you got to put the context. We're all we're middle school.
Yeah, we're all middle.
Not middle school.
No,
We
yeah.
are elementary.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
I was.
You
You guys
You
were
were-
elementary.
yeah.
We're middle school.
Yeah,
You guys
we
were
were
middle
middle school.
school.
Y'all elementary. So that's
Yeah,
why
we
we're
were
all like,
kids.
you
Yeah,
know,
we
we
were
didn't
like-
2 and
like
6,
it.
2 and 7.
Yeah,
Yeah, we were just
right.
not about
I
it.
remember because y'all went to go see Spider-Man. And I was like, dang, man. I missed out again.
Honestly, that season of my life at that church, I just remember with Spider-Man, the first one
Yes.
with Tobey Maguire. That's
Oh
all
my
I remember.
gosh.
I just remember I was like, dang, they went to go see Spider-Man.
That's
And
all I
telling me
remember.
all about it.
Bro, I remember that they played a worship song and it reminded me of a song in Spider-Man. And I was like, I like the song.
You're like, wow, I'm Christian.
Yeah.
That's how you received
That's
God.
the only reason. I was like, I liked her.
So your dad gets fired, and I feel like not
It was
the next day.
it was we had one Sunday off. So 2 weeks from the day he got fired,
He became a
pastor, and we
Yeah, it
started
was something
church
like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
like so quick. I remember because I was like,
It was very quick
I was like,
turnaround.
dude, my dad a pastor. That's so embarrassing. Like I felt the same thing.
It was embarrassing. I was like,
I
dang
know it was,
it.
yeah.
I didn't think about that. Well, I guess he's your dad.
Yeah, he's my dad, yeah.
Me and my
It was
mom
more
were,
like the
chilling.
pressure, like, oh no, like pastor's kid.
Yeah,
great.
pastor
Like,
kids. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like all
like
the
always at
pressure.
church.
Wait,
and
what pressures? Talk, because now that I'm thinking about it, I'm hearing this.
You're not a pastor's kid.
I'm not a pastor.
well, yeah,
kid.
pastor.
Yeah.
You just need
What
to.
pressures do you?
Everyone's like looking at you. Everyone's expecting something from you. Like, or, you know, it's kind of like.
I mean,
That's
more
what you
th-
feel. It's maybe
I-
not.
I didn't feel that way.
You
Spoke.
didn't feel
I-
that way.
I
What
felt-
did you feel, Gabe?
I felt like embarrassed and like I don't want to be a pastor's kid because I have to like act a certain way. And
Exactly. That's what I mean.
Yeah, like just like
yeah.
these irrational expectations are like. And then I remember people hearing like, "Oh, my dad's a pilot." I'm like, "My dad's a pastor." Like, dang, just stuff like that. Just weird.
But granted, during that time, we were part of a school that was very like within the wealthy area.
Yeah.
Well, we lived in apartments
Yeah.
within like, and this is on like, yeah, it's like
You know,
What
What
I'm
is
starting
this-
to realize about
school
y'all.
districts.
Y'all gave me trauma.
Of course, bro. This is
You
along for
just
the
said
ride.
we were in a wealthier apartments, and I'm like, dang, that just hit me. There's another story that I'll share in a second.
I know.
But just
But
go.
no, we were there.
We grew up in it, but it's because the school district was good. You know,
Yeah,
schools,
the
good
school
schools.
Well, my
but-
parents didn't know that.
No, they did.
I'm
They
sure
did.
100%.
They
You
did.
might have not known.
We didn't grow up. We didn't grow up in Oak Cliff.
No, we grew up in Arbor Creek.
No. Listen,
no.
no. We went to Barksdale.
Barksdale.
And bro, I went to Renner Middle School.
Yeah.
yeah,
big
Runner.
shift.
I went to Renner, which is Plano West.
Yeah, big shift.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
no,
I
it was.
I remember I had actually before my friend Michael. There's a friend. He invited me to come over to play video games.
I
at his
remember
house.
this.
Remember
Yes,
this?
bro. Yes.
I remember it was Kirby, some random video game. This is random. I remember.
Wait,
Kirby.
I went
bro.
to his house, and I remember they had the whatever you call it, the ceiling,
You have so many
the roof.
stickers.
Yeah, Sylvie.
Just about
She
to
gave
ask
me
you.
the.
Oh.
I'm 30 and my favorite color is red. So she.
Oh, nice.
What'd you just say?
I'm 30 and my favorite color is red. So she gave me the stickers.
Oh,
That's
sweet.
really
Okay.
cute.
But I remember like the roof had like the nice roof. You know, it was like almost like the
Yeah.
California roof. Something.
Yeah.
Yes.
2-story. He had a game room.
When
Had
you have
his
a
own
game room,
When
yeah.
you-
Had 2 siblings
When you-
with a back, and then I remember gated community.
Yeah.
Ooh,
And I remember driving a Mercedes Benz SUV to get ice cream.
dang.
crazy.
That's when I knew I was like, I don't belong.
Yeah, all the kids. Bro, all the kids, bro.
We went to Cold Stone.
When you,
Cold Stone.
I was like, bro.
it's not Brahms.
No, it's not
Bro,
McDonald's.
It's not McDonald's.
I was like, this is, and then my dad picked me up in his like 1980 Chevy pickup truck. It was like,
Oh
Bro,
my God.
yeah, that truck. It
Yes.
was gifted.
I was
truck.
so embarrassed.
Oh
So
my
I
God.
realized that's when I realized
There's a
the
difference.
difference.
There's
Yeah,
a difference.
That's
yeah.
crazy.
What
I mean-
were we talking about when we went on this rabbit trail?
Just school.
Oh wait, no, I remember. The pressures of being a pastor's kid.
Oh, yeah.
Pressures
So,
of being a pastor's kid.
your dad becomes a pastor. You feel pressured. You like
Yeah.
have to act a certain way. You don't feel pressure.
No, I don't.
What did you feel?
Oh, expectations and pressure too.
It was hard because now I'm realizing my mom was a single mother. I was not a pastor's kid.
No.
I was just around pastor's kids. So
Yeah,
I was like,
you were.
I can act up and be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my tia is a pastor, so
Yeah.
I can't act up actually
Mm-hmm.
because she'll whip me
Yeah,
back in the
100%.
shape. So your dad starts a church,
Yeah.
and this is where I feel like this is where we can like start to talk about a little bit of our
Yes.
worship journey.
Mm.
We obviously they have a worship team. We are just attending the church. We're obviously they're pastors' kids. I'm just going to church at that point, not really paying attention. I'm just there. And one day it was a summer. I think it was the summer between. It was like for me it was between 6th and 7th grade. So from 6th grade that summer, I was like, guys,
Were you here before me? Like,
yes,
you
yeah.
were.
Yeah.
You're 2.
Am I 2?
Yes.
How old are you?
No, because I remember this time. I was
Ooh,
in 7th grade.
Mother.
I was in 7th grade. I have a clear memory. Because I remember I was in Renner Middle School in 6th grade. And in 7th grade, I moved to Arbor Creek because Jim was in 8th grade.
I was
Right,
in
right,
eighth
right,
grade.
time.
Yep.
And it was that summer?
I remember coming in, I was a pastor's kid, and I didn't care at the time. I remember hanging out with the wrong crowd. I remember going to school, going to lunch, and I have this clear memory, very, very clear memory. I didn't know anyone, so there's only like everything's full, and there's a table with a bunch of kids that they're kind of like the meaner kids in school. I'm like, hey, can I sit with you guys? And they're all talking like they're all having like extremely like sexual jokes within that conversation there, and it's like they're all like, I don't know why they all did drugs.
Or said they did.
Said they did drugs, but they said
you never know.
You never know at that time. Like, so I look at a seventh grader now. I'm like, bro, you're like.
You look back, you always look back at school. You're like, oh my gosh, these guys are so bad. But
That's crazy.
you just don't know. But it's
I remember
intense.
I was
It's
like,
intense when it's like you're
wow, they're like clearly saying a lot of like sexual jokes. I've never been around that in my whole entire life. They're saying a lot of things that I don't understand, which led me to a personal rabbit trail of like I remember dealing with a lot of like. I just didn't understand. I was like, so it kind of led me to like, I don't know if I believe in God. I kind of, these friends see me. I feel like I belong.
In seventh grade.
They're skateboarders.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So it's like, that was kind of my personal journey. They were like, and I remember that year was probably, I remember that I was like, hey, I don't know if I'm like a Christian.
Wow.
In seventh grade.
I never knew that about you.
I remember I was like, because I was like, I remember dealing with a lot of like lust and a lot of there's just a lot there.
Yeah, of course.
That time, and I remember telling my parents, I was like, "Hey, I'm 16, I'm out." Because I had in that school, I had a friend who was in 8th grade, who was actually like 17 years old because he kept failing.
He like failed like 3
Remember?
times. Yeah, bro.
Red hair, skateboard. I think he was the coolest guy ever.
Oh, like, he was the coolest guy.
Well, were we also during this era? Skateboarding was like a big part of our lives. Like
big part.
Like
and
it was
skate culture is pretty
Yeah,
bad.
it was pretty
skate culture
intense.
is all about like just going out there, no responsibilities.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Drinking, partying, drugs.
And but I think also what I appreciate about skate culture, and since we had it, it's just like a group of friends that you just do everything together.
Yes.
And we
I felt like I belong. I feel like I belong for the first
100%.
And I think
feel like you belong.
You feel like you belong, and
No
we're
matter
so
what.
used to that because we had each other. It's just like this is our
It just
nucleus,
resonated.
and
It
it's just like
resonated.
skate culture is part of it also. So it's like,
I sucked at skating.
You were the worst.
So bad
Bro.
at skating.
dude,
How about you ripping your pants?
No, you showed up.
Boy, one time we went to Allen Skate Park,
Let's
and I'll
skate
never
park.
forget this.
Hey, bro.
God, and it was like when tight jeans were starting to become a thing.
Yeah, it was like
and
that
I was like,
transition.
Mom, I
I
need
remember
tight
that.
jeans. And again, I'm a little chubby. It's fine.
No,
But-
wait,
No,
back
bro.
up.
You were the biggest.
There's like the original Vans tight jeans that were stretchy.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
but these
And then
were.
there's the ones that your mom
Yeah,
would do
she would
for
hem
us.
them. She would
They're like
make
these.
them tight. She
Like
would make them
these.
tight.
Oh, yeah.
And I
She
remember
would-
we went skating and we were all just chilling. We were there. And I was having a good time. I was like, yeah, man, I'm sick. And I'm like, man, it feels cold. I'm like, why does it feel so cold? And we're in the middle of the skate park. I look down. I'm like, wow, those are my boxers. I had my pants ripped
Your boxers
from
were
here
ripped.
all the way down.
No.
And then you know what's the worst part? Y'all just went about your day.
Yeah.
We didn't
Yeah,
like
bro,
there
we
was
were
no
so mean.
urgency to
Oh
like
my
go
God.
like, bro, we have to like
Bro,
we went to Wendy's.
yes, we
I
did.
remember the color of your boxers. They were red with stripes,
Yes.
bro.
Red with
I
stripes.
remember
I was like,
no.
I was like, wow. And
I
then I
was
just
like-
sat there at Wendy's. I was
No,
exposed.
do you
I was
know?
like,
Do you remember how? I remember how it happened.
I don't.
was
I
okay.
don't. I
was
just
it down
know
a
this
curb? Was it down a curb?
No. It was down.
Share what you.
I
Just said.
remember we're all like going. I think you mustered up the courage to not ollie, just like go down
Right
like
down a curb. Like
it was,
on a box.
it was like probably like
Probably
a curb and a half. No, not even that. It was like
Maybe
a curb.
this?
Yeah, it was like a curb and a half.
probably- Yeah.
And Sebastian's like, I got it. And he goes, and you were at this time like you were a little bit bigger. So we would go and you would like go down the curb and your skateboard went out with one of your legs and your knee went the other one. And
But
just
you know what's so
ripped.
funny? I do not remember that. I just remember.
What did I say? That Sebastian forgets certain things in stories.
No. I do.
You do.
No, it's not. I literally.
I
don't-
can concur. That's what happened.
That's probably
Yeah, that's
sure.
probably what
But
happened.
I do not
I
remember.
do. I agree.
I agree that
I just remember
Yeah.
feeling cold.
No, I do. You know what? I also remember you were standing
trauma,
on top,
bro.
and
Trauma
it was-
will
it
make
was-
you forget.
Yes, I was on a top thing. I
You
was
were-
like, I was just like, yo, why am I cold?
and it was
Okay.
just ripped. Okay.
Okay, skate culture,
Skate culture, yeah.
family, we're all together.
Okay, and then I think going back to my parents' church. So my dad had a really good, like there's a bunch of musicians from Hispanic musicians that were just so good. We just started this church, like the Lord just blessed it. It was fully furnished. There's a bunch of people there that wanted to serve the church and great, excellent musicians. I think for 2 years
Yeah.
straight, or
for like a year and a half.
a year and a
2 years,
half.
He had
Yeah,
musicians.
he had good.
Yeah.
They were all good.
And then I think
I mean,
that reminds me of what we were talking about. Yes, your dad had the church. 2 years they had good musicians. You during that summer, go back to that story.
No, I think cause I remember I started 7th grade, started hanging out with the wrong people. My dad, I remember telling my dad, "Hey, when I'm 16, I'm out of the house." And then he's like, he just realized that. I mean, I think I was more in that place of like, "Hey, I don't believe in God."
yeah,
Okay.
Like that's kind of where my heart was. I kind of like, I remember accepting that.
Yeah.
I remember there's a clear acceptance in that.
Dang, bro.
And I was like, I just don't care about church. I don't care about God. And then one day my dad's like, "Hey, I'm gonna pray for you guys," and that was the shift.
yeah.
That was a shift. I
You know what I
remember
mean? That was
Saturday.
a big shift. I remember encountering
One
God
prayer, yeah.
and being delivered, and fully like it was like people have their stories of like, you know, can God overtake you? It's like for me,
That
yes.
was what it was.
Yeah.
For us, yeah.
I
For
think
me,
as
it
a
was awesome.
family, it was
As a family, it did.
Yeah.
As a
I,
family.
I even remember it that impacting me because I wasn't there that Saturday.
yeah.
They had a Saturday where
It was pretty radical.
God radically touched them, and I wasn't there, but I
Yeah.
heard about it.
It was
Mhm.
it was
and
with
it moved,
expressions.
and
Yeah.
it moved me. I was like, man, it's not that I was like living in like I believed in God, but I wasn't like living
Yeah.
for God. And I remember
it was more
I
like
was
you're
like,
vibing
dude, whatever
out,
they have, I want that. And I remember from that day on, every
Yeah.
Saturday we would do
Good
prayer meetings in your dad's living room.
Yeah,
And
and
I-
we were excited to do it.
And I
We're excited to
like,
do those.
and-
Yeah.
But even prior to that, I do remember like in Colombia I have various vague memories of like the worship.
Yeah.
Music.
You
Yeah.
know, I remember like it would be upbeat. Los Carros de Faraón. I
Wait,
remember that very clearly.
Los
Los
caros.
Carros
Los
del
caros.
Los
Del Carros.
Los
Los caros del faraón. Está caro, caro.
But also like within the Bible church, I remember like there's songs I was like, man, there's something special to this.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
100%.
Like I remember like not being aware of it, but I remember like, hey, there's something truly like
Yeah.
there's a substance to it. And then whenever the Lord touched us, I remember like going on YouTube and looking at Marco Barrientos. And
Yeah.
remember the
we
song I
were-
remember I listened to actually last week. It's called Inmenso Amor.
Mm.
The one with like the spontaneous.
Yes.
And they're
Yeah.
like, you know, they left the Marco's ministering and Keith Banks was prophesying. I remember like that was kind of what I was gravitating to like real things.
Real music,
Because
real worship. Yeah.
before
Was this
that,
before like you started playing music or after?
before.
Okay.
And
Cool.
but I always loved music. I love 30 Seconds to Mars. I remember like watching MTV.
Oh my
Emo,
gosh.
emo music.
Such
No,
a good
I
song,
I
though.
remember The Kill. That was my favorite.
yeah.
That was my favorite song.
Yeah.
What would you
I remember listening to Eminem. All those. I remember we had.
The Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
That
oh my
song.
gosh.
No, we had. I remember I had a CD.
We're that's
And I had
we're
an iPod
millennials,
video
yeah.
at the time,
Yeah,
too.
millennials right here.
Oh, the
Had the
iPod
iPod
video.
video.
We won that somehow.
Yeah, we won that somehow. But I remember putting a bunch of like
Music.
jumpsuit apparatus.
Yeah.
All emo
Under
music.
Under
emo
it was
music.
Christian. I mean, it's
Yeah, that was after the Lord touched me. But I remember but I remember The Kill specifically, watching the
The
music
video.
video.
Yeah.
I was just continually watching that, and I was like, this makes sense why I was currently where I was at.
Yeah.
Like, remember we watched it recently, we were like, don't watch it, first of all. Don't watch it. But it's so dark.
Yeah, it's
It is pretty dark. I remember. I have snapshots in my head about it. It's crazy.
But
But it would just play on TV, MTV.
MTV.
It
I
really
wake
would.
up in the morning, I turn on the TV.
That's
and,
crazy.
We
We're that-
watch a
we're-
lot
we're
of
that old.
MTV.
Yeah.
We're that old.
MTV, especially
That's
the
old.
music.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So then from
Like
there,
the tail end of MTV. That's like
yeah,
for
from
sure.
there, so we get marked by God.
Radical.
Like
We-
it's
yeah.
I remember,
radically
I remember
touched by God.
afterwards, I remember we had the little thing and had a bunch of like skate tags and school. We threw that away.
Oh, it was like a where you put the TV, like a TV.
Oh, yeah,
We
yeah.
threw everything away and we
Yeah.
just went after the Lord 100%.
Yeah.
I remember like even like we moved schools to a charter school.
Yeah.
That's how
Oh
radical
wow!
it was.
Oh my
I
gosh,
remember
yeah.
that too.
We did.
So pretty much,
wow.
you guys, we all get radically marked by God. We give everything away, everything that we used to do, and then we start doing music. And I
yes.
think that's really important
well, I
to
think,
even mention. Like
yeah.
God marks us, and then we start
Doing music.
doing music.
And I think like a big moving marker. It just kind of everything kind of lined up. So the really good musicians that my dad had. Drama, Hispanic people are very dramatic. I love my Hispanic people, but I don't even remember what happened.
I
But-
do. I remember what happened.
You know what happened?
I remember. Okay, I think y'all at this point. I'm skipping a little bit ahead, but we had already kind of learned how to play like maybe one song.
I do remember that. Yeah.
And I remember your dad was like, okay, you guys learned how to play this one song. You're going to play it for the offering special.
Yeah.
And they were so mad about it. They were like,
really?
They're like, dude,
I wasn't even aware of that.
We're leaving the church.
Like, because of
You
that?
remember that?
No, I remember playing, but I remember that.
Yeah, they
that's why-
left. They
Well,
left. I
the
wasn't
church.
even playing. I
No,
remember. I
you
was
were-
playing. No,
You
they
were
were playing.
eating cereal.
I was eating cereal. You play. So
I played
Yeah.
bass.
bass.
You played bass.
Oscar
I played
played
guitar.
bass. Yeah.
Yeah.
You played piano. Julian played piano.
I
tried
did.
to play
Oh, I
piano.
did play piano.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is whack.
And so
Yeah, I was just playing drums. And then I remember we played this offering song and all the musicians got really hurt that your dad was letting young kids up there lead worship and they all left.
Wow.
And your dad was pretty much left without a worship team.
Mm.
And he looked at us and said, well, you guys are the new
Yeah.
worship team.
That
And
was
then from that
crazy.
summer, so that summer between, for me, it was 6th and 7th grade. We spent 2 months just learning songs and
Yeah.
learning music. And
But the beautiful thing about those summers are so like we would learn during summer break, and we would take I think my parents' room and just plug in instruments, right? And it was
Yeah.
just like
we had
whatever we had. It
Yeah,
was
it
like
was
it was not anything. It was not this room. This room is
Yeah.
like it was just like
I had an
anything.
electric Yamaha
Yeah,
kit.
and I don't remember. I think I had like an amp or something.
No, we had a multi-amp. We had like
Multi-effects
you could plug-
amp.
You could plug like six
things in
there.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
The piano, and we would just go at
The
it for
Casio
hours.
piano.
We would go at it for hours.
Yeah, so the way it would go is I would get there to their house and I would wait for them to wake up because they always slept until like 12 o'clock too.
Yeah, dude.
And they would finally wake up and then we would start playing music. We would like learn a song. We would learn
Yeah.
a Marco Ariento song and
So
then
interesting.
we would just continue to play.
Yeah.
And it would just like whatever we
Yeah,
felt.
we're buying the books.
We
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We went to their conference
buy
and we
the
would buy the
books,
books.
yeah.
Yeah, and I learned all the chord charts
And
they
the
had-
chord
and they had the
charts
lines
and-
and everything.
Bro, those courses were so confusing.
I don't
to me.
know why we bought those. It's like I would like.
It
now
was
that I
like
think-
written.
I
it
learned
was
them.
written
Of
music.
course you did.
But it was written music, and it was like a chord change every other like measure, and I was like, bro, I was like, my mind, this is not that hard. It can't be that hard. It was so hard. But anyways, yeah, we would play and learn. But I remember like at least for me, I'm like, we would get together and play until we felt whatever we had seen
Mm-hmm.
and like people do
that's-
before.
No, okay, that triggered something in me because it reminded me of we would play
Mm-hmm.
and the same feeling, at least for me, that
It was that feeling, yeah.
that I would feel when we would play afterwards is the same feeling when your dad and all of us would do prayer meetings.
Prayer,
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
It would be the
exactly.
same spirit. It would be like we were
100%.
playing and I would feel God.
100%.
Yes.
And then I would go to this Saturday Bible study and it would be the same thing
That's
for
when
me.
we were pursuing God and what God in a room, basically.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't now have language for it, but it was like, okay, these guys are doing it. We're feeling it because of prayer. Now we're getting together and doing it together, and we're getting into this place where God's presence is in a room.
And it probably sounded like trash.
No, it did.
It sounded like
No,
trash.
It's not probably.
No,
I'll tell you right now, Julie.
It tells you.
It sounded like trash.
It was trash.
Yeah. And I think a big marking point was just like we didn't know what we were doing, but we knew that encounter was God. We knew that like
Mhm.
that's the goal, and until we played and felt that, that's how we knew that, like that measure. We had a measure, and that's like let's play until we felt that one Saturday
Yes.
that like we got really radically encountered. And it's like I think that's what kind of led this like movement of just like of like stewarding the presence of God
Wow.
through music.
Wow.
Yeah, and I even remember like playing and then like I remember us crying a lot.
Yeah,
in those,
falling out.
falling out in those rooms. I remember we kind of grew in our spiritual like discernment in those
Yeah.
in that little tiny bedroom.
We 100% did.
we would cry. We would confess to each other. We
Uh-huh.
would
I
like
remember that. Yeah.
we would just seek God, and we would really like we would be joyful together. I remember that one time your dad was. This is another crazy story. We were in there just doing the same thing,
Mhm.
playing, and he would always have people over to pray.
Yeah.
Like, hey, like I need prayer. Can you come pray for me? And we're just back there playing. We have no idea that somebody's over there, and all we hear is a big smack, and like somebody had just fallen down or hit something, and we like stop and we're like, what just happened? And your dad tells us, he's like, well, I was just playing or praying for someone, and they heard the music and they fell out
They did.
and they got delivered.
Yeah.
They had a
I
demon.
remember walking
and
out. The
he
guy
said-
was still on the floor. and I
yeah, he
like,
was still on the
whoa,
floor.
whoa.
We're like, what happened? He's like, tenía un demonio. And I was like, bro, what?
That's
I was like, what's for
Demons.
lunch?
I know.
That's
But,
crazy.
So yeah, like we grew a lot in that season,
Yeah.
and I mean, we didn't grow music. I mean, maybe we grew musically, but I think
I don't.
did a
I
little bit.
100%
yeah,
think we didn't.
I think more than anything, we grew in relationship. We grew in
Agreed.
knowing each other. We grew in
I-
seeking God together.
But also I think like having a voice through an instrument. I think that's what we learned. Like
Yeah.
like I think a lot of people like me as a bass player, I can lead worship through my instrument.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we did, because I remember there was moments where Sebastian would just play cymbals and do stuff, and we would just sit there back and then like receive it, and then Julian would sing, and it was just this like beautiful like collection of just like, man, God is breathing on Julian, so let's just submit under him. And so, but another thing, it's like we would take that and then apply it to Sunday. My dad was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm glad
there's
glad for
freedom.
being a pastor's kid, because we had say.
Yeah.
And
Full circle.
we took what we like experienced into a
In a
congregation,
closed room.
in an open congregational room, and God will show up.
Yep.
We would learn the
It was
songs.
no different.
Yeah, there was no different.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would learn
Bro.
the songs. What happened in that bedroom when we were practicing our music and doing whatever, and then the same thing would happen on a stage on a Sunday morning without us really trying to do something. It would just, that's what would happen. It would just naturally come out.
Yeah.
It was like 45 minutes to an hour, and we would sing the same chorus, play the same stuff. I remember our father would be like, "It's beautiful, but can you guys like sing a song?" And I remember like, I guess, but we were all pursuing the presence. Like we're pursuing God in a room. We're pursuing that, and that was insane. Like that was just to think about, like, you know, like the remnants of that season over 15 years ago.
Still doing it now.
It's still the same thing, and now you see
it's 15, almost that 2 decades. Yeah.
2 decades, 20
decades.
years later,
Almost,
it's
almost
still the
100%.
I think the connecting point when I hear people talk about like upper room or church, like
100%.
we, you know, we can say, oh, you guys are this or that, but like it's still the same thing, you know. We're still just pursuing God, His presence in a room, you know, and it's crazy that it's resonated with so many people. That's what's crazy. Something that wasn't from us, I mean, resonating with everybody else, you know.
Like the whole like thought of like we weren't really looking for any of this. It's like we weren't looking for. I mean, if you go back to the initial state of like we were marked by God.
Yeah.
Nobody, like I wasn't like I need to go get marked by God so that way
I can
play
be
drums one day and
I can be an influential,
or I can be an influential. Yeah, it's nothing. That wasn't the thought. The thought was, whatever they have, I want to feel God in that way. And that led to, oh wow, now we're feeling God while we play music together in a closed room. And then, oh wow, now we're feeling God when we're on a Sunday morning at a small little Hispanic church. Yeah. And I mean, it goes on. Yeah. Like it's the same thing today.
And I think like a big marking point for our musicianship and our history is like we had a church, Covenant Church, which we love. Yeah. We grew up in the youth there. And so it's like they're very excellent in their craft. So I won't go into details, but like those people there marked our lives as like how to steward music well.
Yeah,
they're like,
that's
like, hey, that's a whole different topic, but so that plus like feeling God,
I do remember that.
Yeah,
times.
that plus like I remember even moments where we would play like there's this worship leader. He's like, hey, we're not gonna play chord charts. You're just gonna play. You're gonna learn the song. And so they took chord charts out, stuff like that.
Just so thankful for that.
Yeah, so thankful for that. But then there was moments where we would do the song very excellent, and then the flow. That's whenever the combination of like excellent musicianship and the spirituality really.
Because up until then we weren't like, it was just like no holds bar, like we're all just playing whatever. Like we were playing, obviously we felt God, but it wasn't like, wow, they sound good. Yeah. Up until we got to Covenant Church.
I have a Covenant. Thank God for Senyo.
Senyo, D-Lo.
I was playing a song and we're playing like a G over B, but I was playing B, D, F. The diminished chord. So somebody was like, hey man, he's like, what are you playing there? And I was like, oh, I'm playing a G over B.
Like you're playing a whole B on your left
7
and a whole G on your right.
I was playing B diminished. And he's like, hey man, like he grabbed this finger, he's like, hey, just move this a whole
One.
step up.
Boom.
Changed my life.
Yeah. But like
Yeah.
that's the beauty of it. So I feel like moving to like more current. So talking like the way we got introduced to Upper Room was just like Todd White, and you could probably explain this way more.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, my friend Michael Pendleton again, his dear friend, went to this conference, First Power in Love.
Your first friend, right?
Like my first like friend that I still kind of. Yeah, I'm a loner.
Oscar
Yeah.
didn't have friends.
Don't have friends, man.
Don't
No.
But he invited me out. I got really touched there. Texted you guys, hey,
Yeah.
something special. I remember texting you, I was like, hey, like the love of God's everything. That's kind of what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And then he's like, he's having a church called the Upper Room, and we would play at Covenant, play with that church, and then we would go to Upper Room.
So yeah,
So
we would
we
do
would-
3 services
Morning
at
at
Covenant, one at my parents, and one at Upper Room.
It was
Every
five-
Sunday.
it was-
Talk about a busy Sunday.
because it was like no, it was early morning covenant,
early way up.
then like noon parents, and then 5 o'clock upper room.
But I want to go back to that story of like first now getting to Upper Room. It was, I remember getting the call, or not getting the call. It was getting that text. Hey, Todd White is going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
We should all go. We still live in Carrollton. No car. Again, we're immigrants. We don't have like a way to get there. We don't have a driver's license. We don't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
Michael drives us there.
He
Yeah.
did.
We show up.
Really?
And do you not remember that?
I
Yeah.
don't.
his white Toyota Camry.
He drives us there.
And he had
Wow.
a 350Z at one point.
Yeah.
did.
And we get there and it's like
For that.
you go up these very steep steps and I'm like, where are we? Like
Downtown Dallas.
we're in
which-
downtown. Like if you grow up in Carrollton, you don't go downtown.
You don't
like
go
you just
downtown.
don't.
You
like
don't.
especially if you have no way to get
Well,
there.
especially if you're just like a kid.
Yeah,
I
like
understand
what am I
It's-
gonna
it's
do?
impossible to
Yeah.
go downtown.
What am I gonna do in downtown? Go
No,
to
you
the
just
ball?
can't.
Like
No, you just can't. Even if you want
just
to,
don't. Yeah.
You can't.
What am I?
It's
Take the
20
dart and
minutes
walk
to the
45
dart.
minutes.
20 minutes to the dart, and
Yeah,
then we get
it's
dropped
not,
off
it's
random.
just not a
like,
thing.
you know.
So we get there, and I remember, like, just like Gabe said, we were at Covenant, and we're at this point we're playing at a big church. It's a
Yeah.
mega church. It's a really
Mhm.
cool church. I loved Covenant, and we show up to Upper Room. And it's like this small little room with like the drummers like on a little jazz kit.
It was weird.
It was weird.
Yeah,
it was just weird.
strange.
It was strange. There's like I wasn't used to seeing painters, although I think it's beautiful. But
Yeah.
there was painting.
Yeah.
I remember asking one of the painters, I was like, how much does that painting cost? It's so beautiful. And again, I'm
No,
in
no,
high
no.
school.
Pause. We're doing a single for a friend,
We were-
Adele.
Oh my gosh, that's a different story. That's a whole
different.
yeah.
And I remember especially we were like, we need an album cover,
And I
that's why
said-
you asked.
That's why, oh my gosh. I asked and she tells me, I'm again, no money, no way to get money. She goes, oh, it's $2,000. I was like,
Thank you.
That's
Thank
a lot
you.
of money for you. You guys,
I literally just said, wow.
Well,
And
that
then I
was the
think
first
I
single we
walked away.
produced. Remember that?
Yeah,
Adele?
I do remember Adele.
Anyways, it's a whole different
Yeah.
story.
move on.
But we get there and it's just weird, but the same presence that we felt,
Mhm.
again, going back to what we were just talking about, and when we first got encountered, when we would be practicing in the
Yeah.
room, when we would be on a Sunday morning, we felt that at this church. And I remember Julian is very prophetic.
Yeah.
He's
Thank
always
you.
like, hey, Oscar, you need to buy a computer and make music with your
Oh,
computer.
man.
It's just very that way, like randomly.
Just get
like,
around me. I promise you.
yeah,
Probably
he'll
hit,
just say random things, and it's like,
you'll
wow, that
hit
makes
you'll hit
sense.
something. You'll get destiny.
Yeah, but I remember he's like, guys, I remember leaving. He goes, I feel like there's something for us here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I was
dude.
like, this is my honest. I said, what is here? That, like,
because it was not
it
impressive.
was just,
Zero
I was like,
impressive.
I was like, I feel God and it's very beautiful, but like,
I think
what is here?
I think also the trajectory for our lives, the way I thought we're doing, like playing at a mega church, like, you know, being around some top musicians. So I felt like the next step was like touring with blah blah blah, or just it was just
a
like
very musician.
yeah,
thing to
very
do.
very musician. And so
Yeah.
going to this little upper room with dancers and painters, we're like, this is just a left turn. We're like,
Yeah, it was
like
very left turn.
like why would we do step back? You know, it almost
Yeah.
felt like that. We
Yeah, and at that point, like we were close to the age of like we're about to graduate.
yeah.
Yes.
If not, I don't.
I graduated.
You had you two already have
I was
graduated.
already
still
out
in high
of school.
school.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
me
still
and
in high
Gabe
school.
were in the same grade. And
We
how
were, no, you were. Oh yeah, we were.
Y'all are in the
I
same
failed the
grade.
man. Man,
Okay.
yeah, but
Sucks.
we were about to graduate, and I remember I was like, we could either like all go to college, and I remember
Mhm.
we were trying to get into college, or they had this thing called residency at Upper Room, And I was like, my cousins were all like, hey, we're going to do residency. They're like, you should do it. And I was like, man, I could go work and make money. And then I was like, no, I'll do residency for. I don't even know why I did it. I just did it. Had no money to pay for it. Yeah. The only way we could pay for it was by playing on Sundays.
We played on Sundays.
But I never played on Sundays, so it was like y'all got it paid, and I had to actually pay.
Yeah, we actually pay.
Yes, I played like once a month. It was like $150. It's like I was never gonna pay it off.
Yeah, I mean, it's just important.
Even the reason we stuck around, we had to pay it.
We had to pay it. We got in debt. I just got in debt.
No, but it was just. I mean, that's our introduction to Upper Room, and
I think also going back to like Upper Room is a house of prayer, and at this point, it wasn't even a church. It was just like
it wasn't even a house of prayer.
It wasn't even a house of prayer. It was just like a meeting. Just let's just all get together and sing songs and worship.
I remember Michael Miller. Michael Miller would wear flip flops.
Yep,
and he would wear like bell bottom pants, but not like cool ones. They were just like like all the way down, like scraggly, and he had a faux hawk. And I was like, dude, this man
had a faux hawk.
Yeah, he had a faux hawk, man.
I remember his faux hawk.
Release the pictures,
bro. There's pictures somewhere, and like, but they were all super cool and young, and I mean, you could feel like they loved God, and there was no type of like, okay, we got to do this to do that. There wasn't like an agenda. It was literally.
I remember Peter Lewis. I remember it's whenever he got touched. It was around the same time, like
he was like a professional soccer player, and like
got bound to pornography, got touched at the Gateway Conference, and then heard Todd White. They all went to the Power and Love.
They all went to that.
I didn't even know they were there.
Oh wow!
And they're all. I remember Peter Lewis was like, "Man, the gospel." I didn't know the gospel until now.
Wow!
Like I remember him sharing about the gospel, and I was like, I remember him sharing the gospel. I was like, wow, I've never heard this my whole entire life. And it's been almost like 7 or 8 years of being a Christian. I knew the Spirit of God and I knew His presence, but I didn't know the gospel.
Yeah,
I didn't know the blood of Christ, the broken body, His precious blood. I had no concept of theology. I think we were part of a mega church. It was like,
we had no concept.
It was great stuff, but I'm like, it was like, that's what.
Whoa.
Rain.
That's thunder.
Rain. Lightning and thunder, miracles and wonders.
But what I mean is like it grounded us from a biblical perspective.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah, I remember meeting all of our closest friends in residency. We met Joel. We met Joel at the prayer room. We met Johnny and Yola.
Joe Awesome.
Abby.
Well, Joe Awesome, no, we met him differently.
We met Joe Awesome differently. But we met Abby. We met just all of our friends that.
Abby would show up with like 10,000 siblings.
Abby's the oldest of 10, and she was basically.
She would show up in a white van, dude. I remember.
It was like a clown car.
It was a white Mazda, like minivan. And I remember
the funny thing about Abby is like we were always embarrassed about things. She was never embarrassed.
She was like, "This is so cute."
Man, I gotta go hold Emmy.
Abby was. I remember she showed up with like Burke. No, it wasn't Burke's. It was the other ones. It was the missionary sandals back in the day, where it was like straps,
Toms.
Braces,
Toms, yeah, she did.
Toms, some like Toms like that, and it was like open door, and it was like, "Are these your children? Wait, you're too young to have children. Oh, these are all my brothers," and they would just show up to church. Yeah, it was crazy.
We met all of our closest friends there, and it's just.
But I think also tagging along, like we all were so connected because our main focus was like, I want to know God and I want to feel God. And I just like, we were just so open. And so like, even like starting Friday night sets with Julian had the vision for was like, in the beginning, he's like, let's all play instruments that we're not comfortable with. So Julian will play keys or, it's just like a lot of friends will play different instruments because we're just like, let's just try it. And if God comes, God comes. So at first it was just an instrumental set, which is crazy.
It was an instrumental set.
And then all of a sudden it was one of those moments that back in my parents' bedroom where we would just play until we felt God and God showed up. And I remember Joel picking up a mic and singing prophetically.
Yeah. And
then I'm like, this is crazy.
I don't think he's singing prophetically. I think he would sing new songs that are released from Bethel.
Oh, probably. That we didn't know.
I thought it was. We weren't that into Bethel at the time.
Yeah.
But I remember, I was like, bro, that's so good. And then I heard the Bethel. I was like, There it is. Because it was a Friday night. The album just came out.
That makes so much sense.
No,
but they would do that. They would.
But
do
he would
that.
sing
it
that
was
because it was
spontaneous.
touching him, and then he would sing.
And then he
Yeah.
would sing something.
But all that to say, it's like we would play until we felt God,
Yes.
and then like a singer would come and do the same thing,
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
just like this beautiful like connection.
That is very
happened.
true. That's the first time, because we're musical. Like
Yeah.
obviously we would do it with
Yeah.
lyrics and songs, but like that was the first time where it's like, oh wow, this is a worship leader, and
100%.
Yes.
they're doing the same thing.
It's off
that
the
we're-
grid.
Like
Yeah,
we're-
yeah.
it was like the first time where I was like, okay, this makes sense. This is clicking. Wow, you're now singing something. We're playing something.
Yeah,
And we have no idea what we're about to do, but we understand what we're about to do.
yeah, and it was like this like bubbling up where it was like it just I don't know, it was just like perfect timing. I just
Yeah.
it was just crazy, and then all of a sudden like. I remember Indiola would come and just like sing prophetically. It was just like this beautiful expression that was happening because we were all friends. We all had the same intention, and it was just like,
Yeah.
and that was just the beginning of our musical
Yeah.
I remember.
journey
At Upper Room.
At Upper Room.
at Upper Room.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think we shared a lot of stories.
Yeah,
That was 10 years ago.
That was
10
10 years
years
ago.
ago.
Yeah, because I remember we were in residency in 2014.
Yep.
And the song "You Make Me Brave" album from Bethel came out.
It's
That was when I was referencing.
Oh my gosh.
And that was
2014.
April 21st, 2014.
Damn.
April. Whoa, April. That's literally
Yeah,
That's
it's coming
crazy.
up.
till the day.
Almost
10 years, almost.
Yeah,
Well,
almost
it's a
10
month.
years.
Well,
All right, part 2.
We'll do
part
a part
two, I
two.
think we can stop here, end
Yeah.
it here, and we'll probably do a part 2. This was
100%.
I one of, I
There's a lot
don't
to unpack.
I know there's a
Yeah,
lot to unpack,
too
but I
much.
will say one of the things that I didn't know this was going to be this fun, but one of the things that I'm realizing now is that like talking to you guys, we're around each other all
Yeah.
the time, but I'm realizing that like talking and hearing your stories and like hearing like, wow, I felt this in this season, or
Yeah.
I think it's so
Different
important. And I've
The different perspectives.
yeah,
of,
and
like,
I've
a
never
similar
like
season.
I think our lives are so busy that like stopping for an
Agreed.
hour to look at Oscar, look at Gabe, look at me, look at Julian, and be like, and hear.
Yeah.
And
100%.
it's so valuable.
like
and
like hearing God in a moment of time from different perspectives.
Yeah.
Like I was like too. I was like, wow,
Yeah,
I'm kind of getting
I-
healed a little bit.
I know I didn't
Wow.
realize how special this would actually be for
It's special.
for
Yeah.
me.
And like I also look back, I'm like, you know, God made this, and something like God
Yeah.
will never break like that, and that's why I feel like
God made this. He
no,
will never
no, but
break
it's like
this.
what God
I like
started,
that.
He
I
will
like that.
finish. He will always finish, and
Yeah,
I feel like this is
100%.
just unto like, and like, you know, we may feel uncomfortable. This may be a lot, but I feel like this is so important for the next generation. I feel like
To hear.
it's like that to feel seen, to feel like valued, and just to give our lives to the next generation. I think this is all part of it. Like,
100%.
and it goes back to like what we said about Nate, like that prophetic word. Like we want to be an open door for people to grow.
100%.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
and to them to like be encouraged because like we
Yeah.
live in like in a time where everything is online and everything you do you have to prove yourself online, but most of everything that you've seen in our lives has been like probably 90% of it has been behind closed
Yeah.
doors, and the other 10% has been in front of people.
yep.
Yeah, the
You know?
2014, 2013 was pre-Instagram days.
Yeah, and it was
Like,
all the stuff was
Instagram was for photographers.
yeah, I remember
That
that.
was that season,
I remember
yeah.
that was a season of just photographers, and
It wasn't like a thing where you posted.
no, it wasn't.
There wasn't
a thing.
video at the time.
There was no video.
And
yeah,
I think I also want to encourage people like if you feel stuck, or if you feel like, you know, I have that gift, you know, I have that calling. It took so many little victories, little like, you know, steps to get to the place that we're at. And so like I saw this guy talking about like, you know, the game football, you know, everyone wants to be at the end of the goal, but the first quarters are the ones that matter the most.
yeah.
And so it's like once you get it's you know, it's fourth down, you're like, man, I don't feel it, but you have a little bit more to it's that first down again. So it's just like
Well, it's kind of like what you're saying earlier. You said your mind, the progression of musician was this to touring, but it looked like a step back.
Yeah.
You know, so things are not linear. You
Yeah.
know, they're never linear in
100%.
life. And when God is leading, it's not linear. It just
100%.
isn't.
yeah, it's not.
Mm.
It doesn't make sense.
It
And I
doesn't
think-
make sense.
And I still live like this. Me and Abby still live with our hands open wide. We're like Nathan Finocchio one time told me and Abby's like, follow grace, and I'm like, what does that mean? Like, and then he's just like, you'll know when grace left, and I still don't know what it means, but I feel it. I'm like
That's what I was about to say. I
Yeah.
don't think you like. It's just a feeling. Like,
It's just
you
a
know.
feeling. And then another thing is like if there's a situation and there's not peace in that situation, I think stepping back and letting peace hit your heart and then stepping into so stuff like that where I mean I could have seen in our lives we would just do that unintentionally.
Yeah, it was
never
Nothing about this has been like the logical thing to do.
nothing.
No.
And if we're just following grace. I think
Yeah.
at the end they were just following like
100%.
like
Even starting this, I mean, again, this is our first podcast. This is our first video that we're doing, but we don't know what we're doing. We're just stepping into it.
follow and it feels
Yeah, I mean, we had a different plan for this first podcast, and it didn't go according. But I'm very glad that this was the first one, and I don't know. It just made me appreciate you guys so much more.
Yeah.
I think it's also important.
Not
Like,
me.
I'm down. I'm down to continue doing these, and I want people to also like if they have questions or anything, like let us know. But I think like the first few podcasts, I think I want people to know who we are.
Yeah,
I think
Totally,
our story,
totally.
like, and people, this might be like not even Christian or not even biblical, but it's just like we just want to let you in our lives 100%. Just like
It's 100% biblical.
That's biblical.
We
Oh,
knew Jesus, David.
no. But I mean,
I thought you were gonna go off
no,
like,
no.
yeah, this is not biblical.
no.
but
What I meant was just like we're not
Like,
reading the Bible. We're not. It's not-
steal.
I mean,
Yeah,
we
will.
might read the
will.
Bible.
We
might.
Yeah,
but
100%.
I think it's just like
Well, I think this is important. Like, I think
Yeah.
there's so many podcasts reading the
I can't wait till
Bible.
we, like, this might not even be biblical.
I know
but
it might not
wanna
be even
tell a
biblical,
story.
but go steal at Target. Like, oh,
It's
no,
not
no.
biblical, but
I
it's
just
in
think
the book of
there's.
the Bible.
I think there's a lot of content with a lot of people reading the Bible, and we read our Bibles. We love God, but it's like there's nothing like more. I think we just want to connect with people at the end of the day. We just want to connect with everybody.
It's like,
Yeah.
I think there's a level of like, this is what God has done.
Yeah,
and it
it's our
involves
testimony.
scriptures. It
Yeah.
involves Jesus. It involves the Holy Spirit. But it's like we're not here to teach you. We're here to show you guys.
yeah.
I think I
we're
like
not-
that a lot.
Yeah.
It's not. It's
We're not really teachers of the
yeah.
word,
I think more
should
than
say,
anything,
but
it's showing you guys and inviting
Showing,
you guys
yeah.
into
You know?
what we have been doing for the
Yeah,
past
it's
20
like
years.
John's Single Bible. It's like in
come
the
and
book
see,
of
baby.
John.
Come and see, baby. Come and see, baby.
Yeah, come
Yeah.
and see. Like he was like,
Come-
who is this guy from Nazareth?
Come and see.
And then I think
That's a
it was
song
Phil,
right
he's
there.
like,
Are we
Come
we
and
writing a
see.
song right
We
now?
have to write
come
a
Are
and
we
see.
writing a
And
song
then
right
Jesus
now?
gave a prophetic word under the fig tree. He's like, you're on the fig tree. And he's like, you are the Son of God,
My
the
God.
Christ. You know, so
Come and see.
come and see.
Yeah.
Hey, we are writing a song.
This podcast is called Come and See. I guess.
It could be, I
I'm
guess.
kidding.
Anyway, we could do the outro at the
Yeah.
end. So
Great.
this was good.
Yeah,
I really
great.
like this. We could end it here, but I'll just do a
Love
quick
you
little
guys.
intro.
All right.